Hello everyone, this is Mompreneurs to Millionaires. So glad you are here. Today we are talking about fear and limiting beliefs. Whew, oh my gosh, always a scary topic. Tell me, do you feel like there are some fear or limiting beliefs that creep up on you every day, right? I feel like fear and limiting beliefs is such a thing with business, such a thing with, I think, being a woman, being a human. I think fear is a thing that we don't talk about, right? But I think it comes up all the time. So tell me below if you feel like fear is holding you back in your business or you notice it coming up whenever you're trying something new. I'd love to hear. So today we're going to talk about kind of what I see as the three biggest fears facing women and business owners today. And then we're going to talk about three ways to, I think, the best way to overcome some of these fears. Granted, I do not think that fear is ever finished, right? I think we are human. We have our nature. We have the way we grew up. We have, our ingrained stories in us. I think it takes effort every single day to overcome those incoming thoughts, those familiar stories that we've been told, the things we've told ourselves our entire life, the things we were taught our entire life. I think those things creep up whenever you are stepping out of your comfort zone. I think that is your default, right? Until you can change your default, right? And I think that is the goal. Anytime you want to up level, you're kind of raising the bar, creating a new default. But again, anytime you're pressing that limit, I think your fear and your old habits are going to creep up and sneak in. So I think it's a challenge. I think we need tools. I always say, right? Give me a good day. I can stay steady and out of fear, but give me one bad day, right? And then all the things start coming in. All the old habits, all the old stories, all the old fear, I think starts creeping in. So you really need some tools, I think, on those lower days to kind of bring you out of it, right? I think that's the secret to life to me, is to having tools in your toolbox that help you when things get hard, right? Because the point is it's going to be hard, right? There are going to be some times. No one's ever finished with fear, I don't think, and no one is ever like done and accomplished, and right, there's always things that we're striving for. So anyway, I just think there are some tools that we can have in our toolbox, and I always like talking about them. So I'm glad you're here. Let me know if you're watching on the live, just type live below, or let me know if you're watching on the replay, just say replay below. I'd love to know who's coming in the day of and who's coming in afterwards. Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. All right, thanks so much to everyone who voted, right? Every week I put out a poll inside my group about which topics we should talk about, right? Today, fear and limiting beliefs won the vote, but feel free to drop a suggestion on another topic. If you feel like there's a burning question for your own business that keeps coming up, I'd love to talk about it. Or you can vote on the different topics that I suggest each week. But yeah, thanks so much to everyone who voted. You are here as a go-getter, right? I know you are resourceful. You are here to get some resources, some little tidbits, some little nuggets, right? So I never want to waste your time. I encourage you to really get something out of today's talk, right? So with that, I invite you to put on your abundance crown. I like to call it a crown because you are a goddess. I believe all women are goddesses within. You have the power, right? You have the power to change. No one is coming to save your business, right? No one is coming to help you unless you change your mind or change your actions, right? It's going to take you. You're the one. So I really believe in with that abundance crown. To me, abundance means that all things are possible and that you have the power to change. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit of a mindset shift, right? Sometimes it's going to take a little bit of a different action. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit of a different fear, overcoming a different tool, right? So definitely with that, think about what two things. So I invite you to write down two things from today's talk that either is an aha moment, something you're going to try that's different, is a mindset shift, or something that jumps out of today's video that makes you think, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about it that way. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try a new action, right? Because you can download all the free material in the world, but nothing is going to change your business unless you take some action. So I invite you to write down two action items that you're going to try after listening today. Awesome. All right. I always like to say too, right, that you are not meant to do this alone, right? I think as women, we love to be in community with each other. You are not meant to grow your business alone. You are not meant to, I think, be a human, be a an adult alone. You are not meant to grow your business alone, right? And recently I've been saying this too, that you are an expert at your business, right? Are you an expert at building a business, right? You don't have to be both. You don't have to be both. You're not meant to do this alone. I have spent years figuring out marketing, right? There is no way, if you are a new business and you are good at what you do, there is no way you can also be good at building a business, right? It takes years. It takes years of research, years of trial and error, years of making the mistakes so that you don't have to, right? I want to fast track your business. I don't want you don't have time to make all the mistakes that I did, right? Learn from those who have gone before you, because you're an expert at your business. You're not an expert at building a business, right? Learn from those that are. That's what I would like to leave you with. You're not meant to do this alone, right? You don't have to. Get support from the people around you. Learn from those who have done it. That is the biggest way to up-level your business, and the fastest way to get you leads and sales. That is going to be I think, learning from the people around you. So here's the big message for today, right? Is that fear is keeping you small. All these little stories that you are telling yourself that we're going to talk about today, it is your ego, it is your fear keeping you safe, right? What if it is? What if it is? What if it is just your fear? What if it is just a story? What if it's not true? So with everything we talk about today, I invite you to ask yourself, is this really true? Or is this a belief I've been telling myself? Right? A belief doesn't have to be true just because you tell yourself, right? So I invite you to really open your mind and really question some of these thoughts that creep into your mind, because I notice them all the time that I think, oh my gosh, that's something I've told myself forever, and it doesn't have to be true, right? There might be evidence that there has been in the past that maybe it could have been true at one time, but it doesn't have to always be true, right? And it might just be a fear. It might just be a fear that isn't true. So if you're new here, right, my name is Christina, and I love talking about the bike shop. I started my first little Etsy shop though, back in 2010. So that's 16 years of trial and erroring, figuring out how to grow a business online, right? Do you have that kind of time? I don't think you have that kind of time, right? So I want you to learn everything that I have learned so that you can fast track your business way faster. So back in 2010, I started Etsy, and I realized, oh my gosh, the internet is huge, right? So back in 2010, that was the first step to figuring out, okay, I need to market a business. I was smacked in the face with this lesson time and time again. If you build it, they don't just come, right? You can't just set up shop, have perfect pictures, great colors, great products. You cannot just set it up and hope that people show up. Right? I thought that. I thought if I just create my little Etsy shop, people would show up. They don't find you. The internet is huge, right? You have to go to them. So that's what I always teach with my clients, is that figuring out who your people are, where they hang out, and how you can go to them, how you can get them to say yes to things so that it doesn't have to feel salesy, right? That is the key. So fast forward to 2014, my husband and I opened our little bike shop, coffee shop. He liked bikes, I liked coffee, I always like to say. And it was a brick and mortar here in our local town. And it was so much fun. We loved getting to know our local community. And we loved just being a business and getting to know the other local businesses. What was so successful at that bike shop is we discovered Facebook groups, right? We found that Facebook groups, having a Facebook group of our own, was the best successful piece of that business, because it brought people in. We could create events, people could notice them, people saw them more on Facebook, and it allowed people to be seen, heard, and feel like they belonged to something, right? They wanted to grow with us. So we could create events, have people come to the shop, go on bike rides. That was our biggest thing. So all of these things, right? The Facebook group was definitely the best part of that business, the most successful piece. And I always like to say, such a testament to the idea of building a community around your business. Here we are, we closed the bike shop in 2016. Here we are 10 years later. That Facebook group is still up and running. People are going on bike rides to this day. Isn't that wild? That is such a testament to people wanting to be a part of something, right? They are loyal to a brand once they feel like they belong. They feel seen, heard, belong, right? They are invested. It is their tribe. They feel like they belong. So it's a really important, I think, aspect of every business can utilize, building a group, building a community of loyal supporters around your business. To me, that is the easiest sales funnel. So this is what I teach with my clients every single day, is building a funnel. And it doesn't have to be a cold sales funnel, right? But it is your Facebook group entryway. And it is the easiest way to get people into a container, to get them to say yes to things, get them to qualify who they are and self-select all the things that you offer. Yes, they're interested in that. Yes, they are this person. And yes, they want to get on your email list, right? Wouldn't that be great if you could just wake up to a bunch of yeses tomorrow? That's the best. So that is what I teach with my clients. If that's something at all that you're interested in, just say leads below. I would love to chat with you about how to get more qualified leads to your business every single day. Because if you're not getting a predictable flow of leads every day, then you cannot figure out how to take them through your sales process, right? And it is going to be really hard to convert. If you have very few leads coming in and you don't know how to convert them, getting some more qualified leads will help you figure out how to then take them through your sales process, right? You can solidify all day long your message, your offers, but if you don't have enough feedback from qualified people who are in your target audience and actually interested in your things, it's going to be really hard to fine-tune your message without that feedback. So that's what's great about the Facebook groups. It not only qualifies people coming into your group, but I call it the little petri dish inside. I always say it should be like a party. You want to get your people talking inside your Facebook group. To me, content is not what's converting, right? Relationships are actually what's converting. So I think that's one of the fears that's out there, right? I think we are afraid of not being consistent, and we are afraid that we need to post more, right? To me, that is such a thing out there that I feel like, the idea that if it's not working, you must need to do more of that thing. You must need to post more. Just post more on Instagram. Just post more stories. You should be posting 10 times a day. You need to be posting more. You don't have time for more. No. And if it's not working, why would you do more of that thing, right? I want you to do less, more effective things, right? You need more effective things, and you need far fewer of them. That is how you are going to have time to build relationships and to get more clients. I hear this all the time too, that they say, I'm too busy to try a new strategy. If you have plenty of leads and plenty of clients, by all means, you don't need a new strategy. But if you don't have enough leads and you don't have enough clients, how are you going to have enough time for more clients, right? You better find time to get a new strategy if your current one is not working, right? You have to prioritize your time and figure out what is going to be the most effective use of your time. So I think that is another fear that creeps up, right? Is I am too busy to try a new strategy. But really that fear is, what if it doesn't work? I'm too busy to fail, right? And to me, just like the bike shop, I always say failure is not a failure. You are always learning, right? That bike shop was such a huge failure. Oh my gosh, we had invested so much money and it was such a heartbreak. But I would say it wouldn't have brought me here, right? And I wouldn't have learned everything that I get to now teach my clients, because it was such an important lesson, right? I had to fall far in order to make it impactful and be able to teach other people what not to do, right? So to me, it was such a valuable lesson. It is such a learning experience. I am so glad it happened, but I am so glad that it failed. I'm so glad that it's over. And I'm so glad that I get to be here with you. It is so much more fun to help women build their businesses. That is my mission. So I've turned it into my mission to help other women business owners, because I thought we must all feel like I do, right? I'm on an island by myself. Nobody gets me. Nobody understands my trials and why it's not working, and my life and my schedule and my kids, right? We all have things, right? But absolutely, we can learn from each other, share our resources, and grow together. That is my big goal in life. We rise together, right? That's my big motto. I think we can all be successful if we can build it together and support each other along the way. So that's what I'm here for, and I'm glad you're here too. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to get into it. The biggest fears. Here's what I think are the biggest 3 fears that women entrepreneurs face. Number 1, I think this is self-doubt. Right? And this comes in a lot of other forms. So definitely self-sabotage. Sometimes we call it self-sabotage. Sometimes we call this imposter syndrome, right? I hate this word because I don't hear a lot of men using imposter syndrome. It seems like a phrase that women have coined for themselves. And I hate that we all feel this, right? We all feel in some place or time that we are an imposter, right? That maybe I'm not good enough. And we get that message a lot from society. And here's what I think is the cause of imposter syndrome is comparison, right? To me, I catch myself so often with social media, right? It's really easy to do. We're scrolling and we see someone else who is more successful, someone else who's doing it differently, someone else who is further along, someone else who has their stuff together, right? It looks way more advanced. Well, if she's already doing it, why should I even start? Why should I even try? Maybe I should be doing it that way. Maybe my way doesn't matter. Maybe I'm not good enough, right? Tell me below if you feel like you have felt this, if you have felt imposter syndrome, if you have compared yourself to other successful entrepreneurs, if you have talked yourself out of trying something because you've seen someone else do it so much better, right? To me, comparison, this is such a great quote, comparison is such a killer of dreams, right? Because if you are comparing yourself to anyone else, of course you're not going to be where they are, right? You have no idea what their story is. You have no idea what it took to get there, right? You cannot possibly compare yourself to everyone else. Your story is different and your story matters. Your customers need your unique experience and your life experiences, and they need your story. They need your message now. Not someone else who's further along, not someone else with a little bit different look or a little bit different color or whatever, right? A little bit different branding. No, they need your message now, and that's what's important. So to me, I always say, whenever you get those comparison thoughts coming up when you're scrolling through Facebook, one, you can X out of them, right? If you feel like, I do think this leads to a lot of people thinking that Facebook is toxic because it makes us feel a certain way, right? Especially if it's comparison, if it's jealousy, if it's envy, right? We definitely, I think that that's all a part of fear, thinking, well, I don't have what she has and I want it, or I'm not there yet, I'm never gonna get there, right? Or why should I even, if she's already successful, how could I ever be that successful, right? I'm not her. I don't have her skills, looks, whatever that is, right? It is such a killer of dreams. And so I would invite you to ask yourself, is that true? With every single fear, thought, and story that comes up, is it true? Or is it just a story you're telling yourself, right? I think fear is just a story that you tell yourself and that your ego tells you to keep you safe at the same level. Whenever you're stepping out of your comfort zone, right? That's when fear is going to creep up and be like, oh, we've never done this before. Nope, nope, nope. This is way scary. She's doing it better. Nope, you better just stay here, right? Fear is keeping you small. You are far more powerful than that. Take your power back, right? So that's number one, I think, is comparison, self-doubt, imposter syndrome. Tell me if any of those words resonate with you. I'd love to hear. All right, number two biggest fear, I think, is fear of money, fear of investing, right? And this comes out in a lot of different ways. Investing feels like, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work, right? It also comes out in, I am not worth investing. I hear this all the time. Well, I better make money before I invest in making more money, right? How are you going to make more money if you don't do the thing or invest in the thing that is going to get you more money, right? It's definitely a hard cycle that we get into, right? We often think, well, if it's something that I really want, we want to invest in a wellness package. We want to invest in a coach. We want to invest in maybe, like furniture or a car or a house, or we want to invest in something. And then we think, no, I can't do that. I don't have the money. Or no, what that's really saying is I'm not worth it right now, right? And I think it's a little bit of a mindset shift to change your idea of, could I have that thing? Am I worth that thing? Could I get more resourceful to get that thing now, right? To me, that is definitely something to think about. If you feel like you are afraid of investing, if you are afraid of investing in your business, if you're afraid of spending money that will help you further along in your path, definitely I would think about how you feel about your self-worth, right? Because it's simply not true. You are worth it. You are absolutely worth it. You are magical, right? And of course, by any means, none of this is financial advice. This is just for educational purposes, but I always like to push the edge of, are you feeling worthy, right? Because you are absolutely worth it. There's a possibility, there's a place where you can absolutely be more resourceful and get everything that you want, right? I definitely think there's a place for that. So that's number two, I think, is fear of money, fear of investing. And again, I would argue, push back on is this just keeping you small, or can you be more resourceful, right? There are lots of different ways to pay for things. And is that just a story that you're telling yourself, right? Is that a story that you're telling yourself that I can't afford this, right? As opposed to, when could I afford this? Or could I move some things around? How could I afford this, right? Because it's not, I can't afford this and I'm never going to have it, right? I think that is limiting yourself by all means, right? Certainly. Instead of saying, I can't afford this, think of things as, when could I afford this? How could I afford this? Right? Might be a different way. Or is it really true? Can you really not afford it now? Right? Could you move some things around? Are you resourceful? Right? Sometimes that's a different mindset shift. And that can be for a lot of things that you want, right? It could be for your house, it could be for your car, it could be for whatever other things that are going to help move your business forward, or help move your life forward, or help you feel better, right? Your health matters, your happiness matters, and all of those things matter. And it doesn't have to be that you are limiting yourself to stories that you've been telling yourself, right? If you feel like you can't afford things, definitely, I think that is a little bit of a mindset shift to think about, is this something that I really want, right? For one, so that's one to really think about. Is this something that I really want? Because oftentimes it could be you don't want to spend those dollars on that. It's not that you can't afford it. You just don't value that thing, right? But if you really value that thing and you want that thing, I think there are ways to get that thing, right? And so that's a little bit of a mindset shift to think about, how could you afford that, or when could you afford that? So that's a little bit of a mindset shift. All right, number 3. Tell me if you agree with any of that. Number 3, I think the biggest fear, one of the biggest, right? I think number 1 is really the biggest, but definitely another big fear out there is fear of being salesy, fear of being pushy. Tell me below if you feel like you are afraid of trying something new, or you are afraid of being too salesy, right? I think trying something new often feels uncertain. Being too salesy is such a big fear. Nobody wants to be salesy. Nobody wants to be sold to, right? Nobody wants to be salesy. But your customers need your service, right? There's a need out there. There is a demand. It is just a matter of finding your people and making sure they understand what you offer and how you offer it and the value in that, right? And that they will come up and be willing to pay for it, right? There is a place for every woman, I think, to become a really good saleswoman. You just have to find a place that feels aligned to you, because I think everybody's a little bit different, right? One person's method may not work for another person, but you have to feel the right words and the right ways that feel good to you. Those conversations, how the conversations go, and what words and how that person feels, and that process, right? I think it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, and the words are going to be a little bit different. And even the way that people come is going to be a little different. But I think there's an aligned place for every woman to be a saleswoman. We just have to get over that fear of being salesy, right? Fear of being direct about our business. I think women are taught not to be direct, right? Oftentimes about our business, about money, certainly about most things, right? We are taught to be polite above all else. But I think there's a place for women to talk about their business, be direct about your business without being salesy, right? And that's that aligned place that has to feel good to you, because your customers need to hear from you. They need to hear your unique experience, your unique perspective, your life experiences, your story, that matters. Your message matters, and we need to get that message out there, right? And I think that matters. So if you catch yourself being like, well, I don't want to come off too strong, right? So often that turns into not coming off at all, right? There's a place for you to still talk to that person without being too strong, but definitely still find a way to say whatever you wanted to say. Lead them to your sales process, lead them to your offer, find a way that sounds good. Put it in ChatGPT, right? How can I not sound salesy, right? Like, by all means, there is a way for you to talk about your business without sounding salesy. Absolutely. So I think that is definitely one of the biggest fears I hear is, I don't want to be too pushy. I don't want to be salesy. And it definitely comes out in a lot of different ways, but usually it is tied directly to the sales in your business. If you are afraid of being salesy, I would argue, look at your sales, right? If you are not making sales inside your business, definitely check in with how you're feeling about being salesy. Because if you're afraid of being too salesy, often that leads you to err on the side of not talking enough about your business, not putting it out there enough, not leading people to your offers because I'll just leave it here and the right people will land and find my stuff, right? They won't, right? I tried for years. I made all the mistakes so that you don't have to, right? There's a place for you to go to them, right? And there's a way for you to say it that feels good to you and feels good to them without being pushy. By all means, don't send a link and be like, hey, buy my thing if I've never met you. That would be too salesy, right? There's a place, there's a way to do things that can be aligned with whatever makes you feel good about your business and your offers. All right, so those are really the three biggest fears, I think. Tell me what stuck out with you, right? I often think that we think about these things, and again, a fear that comes up is, well, I just must be either bad at sales, I must be bad at money, I must be bad at business, right? And you are not. Any of these stories that you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I must be bad at this, there must be something wrong with me, something wrong with my message, something wrong, right? And this is what I hate about this idea that you need to do more. I don't think more posting and hoping is the answer, because if things aren't working, it starts to make you question you, and it makes you question your worth, and it makes you quit. It makes you want to quit, right? When things aren't working, when you're not getting results, but you're putting in all this effort, it makes you think there must be something wrong with you. There isn't. More than likely there's something wrong with the algorithm, right? But that's not something that you can argue with, right? You might either need a little bit of a new strategy, a little bit new of a mindset to change the way you're doing things so that you can start getting results, because your efforts deserve results, right? By all means. So there's a way for us to get there. Definitely some things take time, but I would never say, oh, I think I'm just going to get more visible, right? It seems like it's working. If it seems like it's working and you're 6 months in and you don't have sales yet, I don't think that's working, right? I think you might need to try a new strategy. If you are too busy, but you're not getting sales, you might need to find some time to learn how to make sales, right? I think it's really hard, right? And these, again, are all fears and thoughts that come up, and beliefs that we think are things that are true, and they just aren't true, right? I've often said this before. Tell me if you've heard this. BTFAR. Beliefs, thoughts, feelings, action, results. Your beliefs lead to your thoughts, right? Whatever you believe is true, that's your first default thoughts that are going to come up. Those thoughts are what is going to cause your feelings. Your feelings about things are going to cause you to take action or not take action, right? More often than not, your fear is keeping you from action. And your action is directly related to your results, right? So if you can change your beliefs, you can change your results, right? So that's really the thing to think about, right? What are you telling yourself? If you want different results, what thoughts are you telling yourself? So here's kind of the three biggest things that I think are helpful to overcome some of these really tight and scary fears and limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves. The biggest thing to me, I think, is books and meditation, right? To me, books have given me such a great perspective on thinking about things in a different way, right? Figure out who else has done it, right? There's someone else who had the same belief thought patterns that you have and has been able to change it in a different way and been successful. Find that person, right? Find a big guru that inspires you. Find someone that you love the way they talk, you love what they talk about, you can really relate to their story, and figure out how they did it, right? There are so many people sharing so many great frameworks, great methods, great things in books that are designed just for you. Find a book that resonates with you. Absolutely. There are things to learn, right? Learn from other people, by all means. And then meditation. I think meditation is the single most factor that I think has affected my business, right? Besides investing in a coach, I would say meditation is maybe the second most important thing that has moved my business forward, because that is where you get to be with your thoughts. You get to figure out, what am I really thinking about? What am I really telling myself? What fears are coming up, right? When you can shut out the world around you, you are alone with your thoughts. This is where it gets really clear on what your fears are. What are you afraid of? What thoughts keep coming up, and what thoughts are holding you back? So to me, meditation is a really powerful tool for your business to figure out these fears, figure out what are these thoughts, what do they look like in your life, how do they come up, how do they appear without you even recognizing it. They come up in your subconscious, right? Every single day. And that's what's really hard, I think, to change. And then the last one is affirmations, right? If you feel like there is a thought pattern that you keep telling yourself, and maybe that is, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to be good enough, she's doing it better, she's already so far ahead, I'm never going to get there. If those are the things that you're telling yourself, if you could just write down a few things that are opposite of that, right? So I am exactly where I need to be right now. What if I am good enough? What if I can do this? Right? I can do this. I know I can do this. I have seen it in my dreams, right? I can see it in my visualization. I've seen it. I know it can happen, right? I know if you have a desire inside you, I think that means you are meant to do that thing. And so that's the evidence, right? That's the evidence that you need to drive you to know that it can happen. So those are I think those are the biggest three ways to help your fear and limiting beliefs. Definitely books, affirmations, and meditation. I think those are the three things that I think have helped my business the most and have helped me overcome so many fears. And they still keep coming up, right? I still read books. I still meditate every day. I still say affirmations every single day, because every new level that you reach, there are new fears, new thoughts, or even some of the old ones that creep back up to try to keep you at that level. Everything is designed to keep you safe, right? Growth does not happen in your comfort zone. It's real nice and cozy in here. But if you want to change your circumstances, you're going to have to change your thought patterns. So if you have any questions at any of this, I would love to chat more. I love talking with my clients about fear and limiting beliefs. Mindset is such a huge part of my business and such a huge part of what I teach my clients, because I think your fear and your limiting beliefs is directly related to your sales. And if you need more clients and more sales, let's talk about your mindset, because I think it all starts there. Absolutely. The strategy that I focus on is building relationships and using Facebook groups. If you have a Facebook group and you feel like it has gone dead, or you feel like you are thinking about starting a Facebook group, I offer a VIP challenge that is just $27. It's a great way to get started. If you're at all interested, just say VIP below. It's a great way to start a Facebook group if you're not getting leads that you want right now. It's a great place to start getting leads, or if you already have a Facebook group but it's gone dead and you want to reinvigorate it, or if you are getting a fair amount of leads but you're not able to convert them to clients. That would be the next step in this process that we can absolutely talk about. But if you're interested in any of that, feel free to say VIP below. I would love to chat with you. And I think that's it for today. Thanks so much for sticking around. This is always a vulnerable subject, so I would love to hear how you felt about any of that. If anything was too true or too harsh or totally off the edge, I would love to hear how you felt about that. Awesome. Thanks for sticking around.